Hello guys, and welcome to another AE2 tutorial video. Today we're looking at Advanced Inscriber from AE2 Things and actually from AE2 Stuff. But this is in 1.19, which means that AE2 Things is probably what you have, but the method we'll look at over there can be applied to the AE2 Stuff version. At that time, I wasn't fully aware of all the possibilities with storage bus, so this is a much more compact way of doing it. So it pretty much replaces half of the old video. You can read more about that in the video description. And this is a slightly different way to do it. But let's begin with the, let's call it the old build in a new form. So what we're looking at is the old build in a new form, and I'll take it from the start, and it's more compact this time. It's easier to follow and it's easier to build, so I think this is a much better build. So let's take it from the beginning. We have the pattern provider, which would be the ME interface in the old version. We have 3 recipes here. This is a part where many people do wrong and they ask me for help, but normally we're able to solve it by simply redoing the pattern. This build will use the, the processing pattern. This one, processing patterns, which means that we are defining what to send and what we'll get and checking the recipe for these ones. So can I do it from here? Yeah. With printed logic and printed silicon, and then printed silicon comes from this recipe or pattern. We can't use that. We'll just send redstone dust, silicon, the basic form, not the printed part, and the crystal. Again, it's the basic version, because in here we have everything we need to make the prints, and then we'll send them over here, do the processor, and then send them back. So the network never knows the middle step. It doesn't know about these printed silicon and printed circuits, and it doesn't care as long as it sends 3 items and get 1 back. So here, the pattern provider, the 3 different patterns. We will end up in the chest. So this pattern provider will place them in the chest. Interface will do the same. Everything ends up here. If you're doing 1 or 10, it doesn't matter. This import bus, I place a few acceleration cars. We just suck any items from here and place them where I have defined them to be. Storage bus in the first one, gold, and make sure the filter option is correct. Here I filter on insertion only. But it means that we can still access what's in here because we haven't filtered on what to extract. In here we have the logic press together with the gold ingot. It will give us the printed circuit for the processor, and it will stay here until this export bus, printed logic circuit, export from wherever in the green network it can find it, and this storage bus makes it possible to find it here. So send that item and the silicon, it's the same thing. I think we have it here. Silicon, filter on insertion only. We have the silicon press, we'll get the printed circuit, and then the storage bus makes it visible for this export bus, so it will export both of those items into this. In here we have, of course, nothing, because here we'll send the redstone dust. Filter on insertion only. We'll send the dust here. When the processor is done here, we'll go back here. Export bus will then export the logic processor from wherever it can find it. which means in any of these storage buses, but it will be through this in this inventory. Let's see, do I have any? Yeah. So let's order 10 of these. You can see they end up here. They end up here. That was quick. I have too many acceleration cards. But they end up here or distributed. Let's do it again. 10 more. Everything ends up here. Here we'll get the redstone dust directly, and the other parts are sent here, well, as fast as this export bus can suck them from any of these. And this is a nice way to do it. We can just do everything at once. Whoops. I'm out of them. Okay, all of them running at the same time. This is the final one, so the bottleneck will be here. All the items there are gone. They're just stacking up in all of these. And that's how quick looking at, thanks to all these acceleration cards. You can, I think that in the AE2 Stuff version, the old, the power did not come through all the way like this. And I know I had some problems with that. I can't remember the details. I don't have that pack installed. But the powering for this subnet might have been requiring some special power solution or just distribute it. Not saying it's a problem, just be aware of that might be a problem if you're building in the old version. But now in 1.19, I hope that you all have upgraded and moved on. Okay, let's see if we can fetch some more. Okay, so we restocked, and I think with that we can leave this, let's call it old build, but it's not an old build, it's just an updated build of the old old build, and I think it's a very competent and very fast way to do it. The only bottleneck is that this inscriber will do all the final ones. So if you have to craft lots of them at the same time and can't handle the waiting time, well, perhaps this other method is faster. This build is possible thanks to the feature of this Advanced Inscriber from AE2 Things. I don't think this was possible in the AE2 Stuff version. It will actually auto-eject the result back into the pattern provider. And here we are using the classical way of doing this. We are producing these printed circuits from one crystal to one circuit. And same here, one diamond to one engineering circuit, and gold over here, of course. The gold ingot to one logic circuit. And this means that they will be sent back to the main network once the crafting has completed. These two middle ones, here we're producing these silicons. I placed two of them because I had 8 channels, and it seemed like this was a bottleneck when doing all of them at the same time. So I made it this way. It seems to be, well, I didn't try to perfectly balance it, but it certainly helped. Here we have silicon press for the printed silicon, and of course here we have the logic press and the calculation and the engineering press over here. But they will all send the items back. So this will be sent back to the network, and this will be sent back. Up here we have the final recipe. or pattern, I say it wrong every time, with the circuit, dust, and silicon. And here we have the printed versions. So it's not the same as the other build. We are using these versions for the final assembly up here. So this is a more traditional way with the correct pattern. And when we order one thing, like this, you can see that we are sending a gold to craft this, which is used to craft this. Now, you can't see the silicon, you only see the printed silicon here. And that's a thing I added, because when I did some hard testing, doing all of these three at the same times, I kind of got... they didn't do it in the order I wanted. I'm not sure why, but it worked a lot better when I had these parts pre-produced and pre-stored. I actually have them over here. So it seemed like there were too many steps and they were all waiting for each other. It didn't work perfectly. So over here in this interface and the storage bus, I have shown this many, many times before. Printed silicon with a crafting card. This means that we will keep 64 printed silicons at all times in the system. So if I go over here, we can see that we have silicon and we have 64 of these. If I remove these, we are directly crafting. We're ordering. They are working because the system automatically ordered 64. If you're doing a huge amount of crafting, processors crafting, then you might need to have more than 64 stored in the system. But for me, it seems like this is well enough. So our recipe, even though we have recipes for every part, I can craft this. All the patterns are visible. I can craft these, but I will probably never do that. So these could be, I would like to hide them from the system because I won't use it. But from here, you can see that we're sending gold and redstone dust and these, and then the system will automatically stack up on those again. You can see we're now up to 64 again. And I think we were done already because these are quite fast. Let's do it again so we can see what's going on. You can see these are working. It was quick. So in my order, these two are not part of it, but the system will handle and use those. Now let's make 30 out of each. 30 of those, 30 of those, and then where's the final one here? You can see they're all working, and we can see these were active. That was very quick. And here the final one is just filling up. So we have 64 back in the system. Now, of course, if we make more than 64, we will have to make these last 6. But regardless, once we're done, we'll get 64 new ones. So these are ordered by the system, and these are ordered by me. Hope you were able to follow that. So it's very compact thanks to the auto export of these advanced inscribers, pushing them back, and with that we're finished. Okay, I hope you were able to follow along and get some ideas on how to use these advanced inscribers. They are very convenient to work with, which makes this old build feel old. And regardless if you're using this or that, I think you'll have a pretty fast and good system. Okay, hope if you have any questions or comments, you know where to leave them. And I hope I'll see you in the next video. So take care and bye-bye.